about it that he's not really committing to even being a Democrat. He's
Yes.
saying he has he would be honored to be asked by either party affiliation, and then B, he's just at a stage in life, country singer, doing all kinds of other things as well, where he's kind of open to it all. So he didn't say a hard no, definitely didn't say a hard yes. He's just considering the possibilities.
I got to say this is, I think that would make, if you're Adam Wainwright, and one of the reasons like you didn't like take the Cardinal broadcasting play-by or full-time analyst job is because you didn't want to travel. So he does it once a week with Fox. I think that would make no sense at all for him, who wants to be a great father, who has three beautiful daughters, and they adopted a son.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you kidding me? You're going to want to go up to Congress and work on legislation when you made $182 million in your career. You want to work, 70-hour weeks in Washington, D.C. and deal with that mess?
Yeah, I think the answer would be an easy one for me, but I am impressed when people do things that defy the traditional, I'm going to just follow the money, I'm going to follow the easier path to success. I think of Gabe Gore, right?
I was just thinking that, who's had a great job at Dowd Bennett and moved on to help out the circuit attorney's office.
Yeah, not just help out, completely take it, revamp it from being an impediment to the safety and well-being of our city, to try to get it turned around in many ways. We all owe a big debt to him being willing to take that job on that nobody really wanted.
But with that said, if Wainwright's on the ticket, I think he's got a good chance.
Well, I think more and more that when you look at a lot of the polling in the United States, fewer and fewer people than ever have a tight affiliation to a particular party. There's components within both parties that are hardliners, they would be called, but a lot of people are pretty fed up with the two-party system and being only identity politics. And so I think somebody who's just wildly popular with a lot of people is where the both party leadership want to begin to move.
And not just wildly popular, but like the sweetest human being on the face of the earth, beloved by every teammate, every clubhouse person, just treats everybody just beautifully. So there's so much to love about him. And a great father, too. So.
Yeah. And anytime somebody has as widespread of a reputation as he does, as being just genuinely a good human being, you got to hope there's a lot of truth behind it.
Speaking of politics, I, for the first time last night, recorded an event for my sportscast on C-SPAN, the congressional baseball game, because we had Senator Eric Schmidt on TV the day before. Eric Schmidt, just dominates the game again. He had a single,
I saw your highlights last
night and a double. He's just a freaking good player. He really is.
Well, I mean, the Democrats had to be pretty embarrassed by, wasn't it 13-2?
13-2, yeah.
But Eric Schmidt definitely stood out as an athlete.
I think he's 6 for 9, and his press aide just sent me the career stats in this game. So he dominates, plays left field. He got thrown out at third, but he already had the RBI double, so he's something else.
That's very funny.
All right. Anything on your mind?
No, it's been a good 24 hours. We went to the neighborhood pool for the first time last night. As I mentioned, it just hasn't been a real summer so far of everybody being excited about going to the pool. But we went. It was kind of hot and muggy in the afternoon. Took a nice casual dinner, and we ate poolside, and it was just a nice, relaxing night. And then we finally finished Friends and Neighbors, because John's travel schedule and my work schedule, we haven't been able to sit down and watch the last 2 episodes.
And without giving too much away, didn't you think I liked the ending?
I liked the ending. I have to say, around episode 6, 7, I was starting to get like, I don't know, this is it's kind of dark and depressing. Where are we going with it? And I thought it was intriguing.
Yeah.
How about, did you finish it, Connor?
What's that?
Friends and Neighbors.
Yes, did finish it. I did like it, and season 2. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. We were guessing.
That's definitive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
We were trying to guess last night after we watched the finale where the plot lines would go in season 2, and I don't know. It'll be
thought I
interesting to
read
see.
that they would focus more on more neighbors in the neighborhood.
I like that idea.
They got some characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in episode 2 of Bad Sisters, which I think, have you even watched that?
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You watched all 8?
I watched both seasons, and
there's 2 seasons?
Season 2 was a little
Wait a minute,
harder
I'm getting
for
this
me.
wrong. Not Bad Sisters. What's the one with Elizabeth Banks?
Oh, yeah. It's got something Sisters in the name, but I haven't seen it yet. But yes, but different than
on
Bad
Amazon
Sisters.
Prime. I haven't watched
That's The Better Sister.
The Better Sister. yes. Yeah. So that's Jessica Biel and Miss Banks. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of a dark psychological thriller with some comedy in there as well.
I haven't seen too much comedy.
Okay.
It's pretty intense right now.
Okay. I'll have to check it out for sure.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll have the opening dialogue.
Great news from Appliance Discounters. They've teamed up with
This is the Frank and Jill Show. And Jill, tell our listening audience, by the way, how they can watch us on YouTube.
All you have to do is go to YouTube right now. You can watch us live. I noticed it's even since yesterday, you can type in Frank and Jill and the show comes up, which is kind of nice. But the way to make sure you get directly to us is by typing in 550 KTRS TV, and it'll take you right to the link. You can watch the show live. A couple people texted in yesterday or mentioned to me after the show that you hadn't realized if you're listening in the car that, of course, you can just take your phone inside and listen to us on the KTRS app or on KTRS.com, as well as sitting at your desk and watching live on YouTube.
All right, thought one. So this week we've lost some legends in the music industry, Sly Stone and Brian Williams. You know what they have in common besides talent and success? Issues. Sly addicted to cocaine and PCP, Brian Williams, substance abuse that led him to be a...
Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, excuse me. You know what? I typed in Brian Williams last night. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is the anchor, not the singer. But they led him to be a recluse at times in his life. I mean, almost a Howard Hughes type of recluse. And then you have all these stories about Elvis, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Whitney Houston, Ozzy Osbourne, James Taylor, Elton John, Eminem. The list goes on and on. I could list them to the end of this show at 12 o'clock. Why seemingly so many? Pressure and lifestyle, demanding schedule, the drugs turned into a coping mechanism, and they had the money to pay for those expensive drugs too. But you know what I also think is a big factor? Enablers. When you get to that stage of success, you don't listen to anybody. You don't have to listen to anybody. You don't want to listen to anybody. And nobody wants to confront you and tell you you're about to screw up your life. So they either don't say anything or they just turn their head and watch the destruction. They just don't say a word. In fact, they may be helping you obtain the stuff. And believe me, I don't want to be disrespectful or sound cold to people who have addictions, because I know it's a real thing and it's really sad. But it's amazing that so many of these really talented people have these terrible issues.
Yeah, and the data backs you up on that, right? The enablers, if you want to ingratiate yourself and have access to the power and money and control that somebody who is this successful has, one of the ways to do it is to be the supplier of the thing that they need. So even if you're not the drug dealer, if you're the person that helps make it happen, it's a symbiotic relationship that's pretty destructive for everybody over time. But you bring up a very good point. On the local scene here, great news for the growing number of people who are cyclists in our city, including lots of people in that 20 to 45 year age range. St. Louis is ranked pretty low nationally in terms of being a bikeable city. Construction begins Monday on a two-way protected bike lane, heart of the city now. And it's going to go, it's the long-awaited Tower Grove Connector, transforming Tower Grove and Van Deventer Avenues, connecting Tower Grove Park and the Cortex. It's going to be about a 2-mile, two-way protected bike path. A lot of folks who work down at the Cortex, particularly if they're in that age range, have wanted to be able to bike to and from work if they live in different neighborhoods in our city. So a lot of people consider it a positive. You know, John rides his bike multiple times a week from our house down to the gym downtown. Always makes me nervous because I don't think we are the most bikeable city. He claims he's out there before there's much traffic, but he just really loves to do it on a beautiful morning. And it's so, for the other people who really love to bike in our city, I hope we continue to make it safer for everybody.
Now, how quickly could this all be in place?
It's supposed to be in place by early fall.
Huh, boy, that would be great.
I know.
Hey, by the way,
have you ever biked from your house downtown?
No.
Do you know other people that have, though?
Really?
Yeah, I do. John used to bike from our house in Creve Coeur, which was to downtown a couple times a year. Early in the morning, but yeah.
So he would be on Highway 40?
No, on Olive most of the way.
Okay, yeah. Wow, that is crazy. That's impressive. Speaking of downtown real quick, and we were talking about the cars that are automated that would drive by themselves. Again, I just don't know how those things would avoid the potholes. That would be, and the potholes around that MAC area, Washington Avenue, 4th Street, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
I can't believe you could do that. So
it is. I mean, it's almost, it'll shock you. Won't you? Every time you're looking for them, and then you'll hit one occasionally. And I feel like I've just, had it. It almost feels like you're having an impact with another car because the potholes are so deep and sharp.
All right, thought two. The famous line from Godfather 3, which I thought, by the way, was a very mediocre movie. Rotten Tomatoes, generous with a 66. Michael's daughter, Sofia Coppola, was just brutal. But the line was, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. That sums up the way many baseball fans feel with average to above average teams. Such a long season, you have a bad July, you think you're out, and then they pull you back in with an awesome August. So I think a lot of Cardinal fans are wondering, what do we have here? What do we really have here? After that marvelous month of May, they were a feel-good team exceeding expectations. Or was that an aberration? And is this the team which just got swept, have lost 4 in a row and 3 of their last 4 series, the real 2025 Cardinals? I'm trying to think big picture and not overreact from this week. The Blue Jays are really good, and 2 of those games were one-run games. They'll be okay. I hope that's the way this turns out. We'll know more by Sunday. It's 4 against the Brewers beginning tonight, a team they lead by a scant half game in the standings. Can't wait to watch tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up really well. It's like that dragging us along just good enough that hope springs eternal, but then you drop a 3-game series and you go, darn it.
Yeah,
it's tough. Openings and closings in the St. Louis business scene. I think it's always kind of fun to track these, or interesting to track them, I should say. Not fun when places we close, like including Wellspent Brewery closing in Midtown. It was a craft brewery, for those of you who made it down there, with a very cool vibe in a part of town that I think needed that kind of scene, drawing people into it in Midtown. Problem seems to be we have too many real cool craft breweries with a cool vibe in St. Louis, and there just hasn't been the support to be able to keep so many of them open. In better news, Cafe Manhattan, longtime Clayton Diner. You ever been there?
Oh, yeah. They used to do really good toasted ravs, big ones.
Yeah, I have always thought it was good. That was kind of in your neck of the woods. Did you ever go there,
Yeah,
Connor?
so we'd go to Manhattan Express, which was there it was like down the street.
Yeah,
And
for
it was
pizza.
a takeout counter. They had like pizza and sandwiches.
Yeah.
I think that's no longer
It is.
around.
But Cafe Manhattan, original owner Bob Kramer, and it is now sold to McKernan is the guy's name, and he operates a number now of other nostalgic establishments in the city. He's the guy that bought Donut Drive-In. He bought Blackthorn Pub and Pizza down in South City, Epiphany Lanes Bowling Alley. So he seems to be going in with some of these classic iconic businesses and buying them up to keep them alive. Doesn't go in. I've been to Blackthorn since he purchased it. No major changes. Seems to keep the things that made them cool and iconic around for long periods of time, which is good. Grace Meat and 3, the popular Grove Eatery, known for delicious comfort food with the Southern flair, opening a second location in Crestwood. And finally, the rectory of the church where Pope Leo spent a year, which happens to just be down the street from my house, literally. It's on Lafayette Avenue in the Gate neighborhood, is now going to be, drumroll please, a cocktail bar. The Pat and Carol Schuchard, I believe is how you say their name, plan to transform the former Immaculate Conception Rectory into a design-forward cocktail bar, which is the first phase of the project they have for that property.
Wait a minute, so this is what's McKernan's first name again?
Let's see.
Because I'm getting a text here saying that's Tim McKernan's brother. And I know Tim real well. Worked together for decades.
I will get
Great
that to you
family.
over break. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that's cool. Bringing back the old stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'll
right.
fact check that for you on the break.
Stream of Con. I carry a tube of Ben Gay in my Rawlings backpack. And I think it was Wendy who actually gave it to me as a joke, because I would tell her all the time I'd have to put Ben Gay on after the show because I just carried the show. So last night the elbow is throbbing and I broke out this tube of Ben Gay that's been in my bag since Wendy left. And it's a hideous smell, absolutely hideous, but I think it's actually pretty effective. Now, I'd love to get the audience's reaction on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, 84126, about the best ointment to ease pain. Young Lily said, Icy Hot, the Shaquille O'Neal product. Connor, you got one?
Do we have a lot of others besides Icy Hot and Ben Gay?
Yeah, Monique, what is that thing? Do you have some more ideas on this for ointments, Jill?
There's a couple that I've used in the past that are sort of versions of it, but I think they have the same menthol and I like Voltaren.
She uses that. Yes.
Voltaren, when I had knee and hip stuff, I think you have to be careful that you're not taking ibuprofen and stuff at the same time, because it actually is a pain reliever that's entering your bloodstream through that. So please talk to your pharmacist or doctor before you take my recommendation. But I did find that it brought a little bit of help.
I just think it's funny you started using this Ben Gay.
What about BioFreeze? I've used that before too.
It was in my
But you
bag.
carried around it for for months as like a prop. You'd do it for your joke.
I do
now
it
you
for
actually pulled it out to use it.
Yes, I do it to my TV producers too after a half-hour newscast. Boy, I got to put this on. I just carried that show.
Yeah.
One other
Many people also saying biofreeze on here as well. It
Tiger
does.
Balm. Is that a?
That's old school.
Yeah. One more thought is I'm excited about tomorrow night. We're going to Noto, the restaurant in St. Charles that serving those Neapolitan style pizza with that famous oven, that wood fire oven. I went there once before a while back, and I think it's maybe the toughest place to get a reservation in St. Louis. Or it's one of the top 5. And I just love their pizza. So we're excited about heading there on Friday. Maybe they could be a food pick item or a weekly special item in the near future.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good one. Kevin McKernan is the person who is keeping those things alive, which is great. Every once in a while, I like to nerd out with a little bit of word entomology. This one showed up on my feed, and it was one I hadn't heard about. Do you have any idea why we call sleeveless shirts tank tops?
I do not.
I did not either. But way back in the 19th century, women wore full-length bathing dresses with all kinds of layers of undergarment. And then eventually they were into more tight-fitting, in the 1910s and 1920s, sleeveless fitted bathing suits for both men and women. They came to be called tank suits because during that time, swimming pools were pretty much only colloquially called tanks, especially throughout the UK. Eventually, Hanes said, I think we could make men's shirts that are worn underneath other shirts to prevent the color transfer that are modeled after these tank suits. And those became tank tops. And there we go. That has stuck around all these years later.
There's a less charitable name for them.
Yes,
well.
exactly.
Wife beater.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's an attractive look on women. I think it's kind of a Hoosiery look on men. What's your take?
It's a common look for Italian Americans.
Oh boy,
right?
ethnic stereotyping there, Connor.
Okay. Tell me I'm wrong.
Somebody call HR. Do we have HR here?
I don't think we do.
Think we
Are you
do.
going to tell me I'm wrong?
I'm not
the
offended.
newest slang term for these tops is pleasers, as in wife pleasers instead of wife beaters. So I don't
I
know.
just
More
Googled it, and
positive.
there's wife beater comes up all over. There's a gazillion of them. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. I had no idea that swimming pools used to be called tanks in the U.S. and
Swimming tanks.
UK.
I like swimming pools better.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's a little more appealing.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to chat with Curtis Francois, the owner of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation. One of the things that isn't very fun this time of year is when we end up with water in our basements. Rain coming later today, overnight, if the meteorologists are telling us the truth. And I know for some of you that can be nerve-wracking because you have had to deal with water in your basement because of the incredible amount of rain we have had pretty much from late winter leading up to now, when we're just exactly about a week away from the start of 10 days away from the start of summer. It's no fun. It's one of those problems that a lot of times we try to solve ourselves, maybe with a little caulk, or we'll start moving around some of the downspouts outside of our house and hope that that solves the problem. Sometimes it does help cleaning out the gutters. Those simple solutions are sometimes the best, but sometimes we need the experts, and the experts that you're going to need if you have a water basement problem or any other issue in the crawl space or basement of your home. Woods Basement Systems is the company to call. They've been doing this for decades and decades, family-owned business since way back in 1986. They care about their customers. They care about their employees. They take pride in being the company that has the best trained technicians and understands all of the different factors that go into the architecture and the landscaping and the solutions that are out there to help make sure that your basement stays dry for the foreseeable future. woodsbasementsystems.com, 618-708-4055.
A message from the master.
TRS, a big sporting event coming up this weekend in St. Louis. It's the Bommarito 500, 7 o'clock, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Joining us is the owner, Curtis Francois. And Curtis, when this, take us through how it all actually unfolded, because this was going to be a day race on Father's Day. Everybody excited about it. Then all of a sudden, you and Chris and John get the phone call, your reaction, and how it all unfolded to make it at night.
Well, we love a night race, and it just hasn't worked out with the television schedule over the last few years. And their slots became available for first time ever live broadcast, prime time Sunday night. And we got the call. We got the call to make that happen at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And, we were just thrilled to take advantage of the opportunity, because we know how our city shines. We know how the racetrack just looks gorgeous at night. And so it's going to be a terrific evening to showcase St. Louis and the best racers in the country in open wheel racing.
So Curtis, Jill Farmer here. For those who aren't as familiar or have been used to being at daytime races, what will the experience be like different for them?
Well, I think at night it just looks a little bit more like show business. Let's just say that it really is gorgeous at night, and you'll recognize that you're participating in something big. There'll be millions of people tuning in around the world, and again, once again, St. Louis has an opportunity to really shine and show who we are. And in particular, it's going to be particularly an interesting evening as we get to showcase not only our annual first responders tribute, but also the tornado relief efforts and relief folks that have volunteered to just deal with the tragedy that we had here in St. Louis about a month ago. Several thousand tornado relief effort folks will be there, and we're going to be honoring them as well. So just once again, we have so many things on tap to utilize to let St. Louis shine.
So this week I've talked with drivers Rahal, Lundgaard, and Siegel, and not only are they thrilled about the racing at night, but the whole oval thing, it's so challenging. And I think last year the amount of passes was historical at the track. Tell me about it.
It was. I mean, last year there was over 200 passes and close to 600 total passes. And I think there was more than 20 passes for the lead. So those are big numbers by anyone's metrics. And it just is a tribute to what our racetrack is like to race. It is challenging. It is a driver's track, and it's an opportunity for the best drivers to show their talent.
Yeah, and as you said, and maybe best time for us to be able to be sampled nationwide is putting ourselves really, because of what you've done at Curtis Francois out at the raceway, putting us on the map as a destination for watching these top races.
Well, it's one of those things that if you love St. Louis, and we've been able to bring along so many other supporters of St. Louis, supporters of racing, companies, fans, it's just amazing to see how we come together when we need to. The tornado relief efforts, perfect example. St. Louis comes together. Well, in a much less significant way, but I think what has happened around the racetrack is the community is supporting what we're doing, and it shows in our racing product. It's just, I'm super proud of all those that have been working with us for the better part of 14 years now to bring great racing, top-tier racing to St. Louis.
I know maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Curtis, you commissioned Maryville University to do a study on economic impact of a race like this. And I think people in St. Louis would be floored to hear the numbers because, look, let's face it, not everybody's an auto racing fan, but these economic impact numbers to St. Louis are staggering. Tell me about it.
Well, it was important for us to know really how we ranked in bringing new dollars to St. Louis. And so we had the economic impact study done, and that was pre-Cup. And so as we continue to add on, it's well over $100 million annually now that goes into the community through all of the fans and tourism and all of the different room nights and the different things that are the business part of what we do, just bringing new revenue to the area. And frankly, to an area in the Metro East that really needs it. And so over the years, we're providing, I think, a lift to the area there. But listen, we got a long way to go and a lot to do. And I think over the next decade, we're going to see some tremendous gains in our community.
As you talked about, a lot of the focus and attention is what's happened on Sunday night, Father's Day nighttime race at the Raceway. What else is going to be happening at the Raceway over the summer that people can look forward to this year?
Well, for sure, we've got our playoff race coming up in September, so that's a big one. In between that, we have Formula Drift that will be coming back again, and that's a great alternative type event. It's not quite as big as the IndyCar race coming, but it's a big one. It's a big one, and so that's happening. And then always our NHRA drag racing event coming back for its 14th year. All new sponsor there with Napa being the title sponsor for that race. So there's an awful lot on tap this summer. And we're just thrilled to be also working with Discover Downstate to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And so, for example, we'll be racing and rocking on the Mother Road this Sunday as we have a festival add-on concert with 5 different acts there and a campground party, fireworks show, a drive-in movie experience. Lots going on in concert with the Downstate 100th anniversary of the Route 66.
Curtis Francois with us on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. All right, I want to take you back 13 years ago, and the track is deader than a doornail, and nobody's thinking auto racing, and you have this idea. I'm just wondering, your lovely bride, Amy, who's a really smart person, when you come to her with this idea, hey, I want to resurrect a racetrack that's been dead for a long time, what was her response?
Silence. Right? Silence. And that speaks volumes. But no, it's just so great to have a wonderful, supportive wife that there's no way I could be doing what I'm doing without her taking care of the business end of the family. And it's just amazing, the partnership we've formed around this initiative. And I think it's initially tough because you just don't know what you're in for when you're making a big decision like that. But as we both saw the implications of the decision and what could happen in the community, she's all in, I'm all in, the family's all in, and we just recognize that we are able to do something for our community that should have lasting impact for decades to come.
Maybe your biggest strength is like assembling talent. Of course, your staff there with your GM, Chris Blair. But what I like is the fact that, okay, we need a sponsor for this race to really get behind it and sell the heck out of it. And you go get the #1 automotive dealer in St. Louis and John Bomarito. Well, we need a track sponsor. Well, let's get one of the most successful businessmen in St. Louis history, Dave Stewart. I mean, you talk about assembling a staff. You're like a GM with, bringing in free agents.
Well, certainly in the sports world, we've got a lot of the heavy hitters. There's no doubt about it, and in more ways than just the revenue side of things. By all means, we have people that love St. Louis, whether it's Dave Stewart or whether it's John Bomarito or many, many others, including many on our staff. We love St. Louis. We love the opportunity to do something to give back, and St. Louis is such a giving city. And so as we are able to tell our story, and the opportunity at the racetrack is somewhat of the shining light on the hill there in the Metro East, it doesn't take a lot to convince and explain that there's great opportunity in the future if we continue to do what we're doing at the racetrack.
Well, Frank alluded to it in his question that there was a risk involved when you took this all on. Looking back now as things have unfolded and the impact that you've had, what's been the biggest surprise for you about this endeavor and how it's all played out?
Well, I think the surprise started almost at the beginning, and that was when we simply reached out to the community and said, "Hey, I'm going to take this project on, but I need some help clearing some weeds and painting some catch fence and cleaning up the place so that we can open for our first event." and hundreds of people showed up, volunteered to reopen the racetrack, help
Wow.
us reopen the racetrack. And so those kinds of stories have been really just a part of our story throughout the years. As when we need something or when we need an extra helping hand, all we have to do is reach out to the community, and here they come. So it is always a risk. This is not an easy business to make successful, but we really feel like there's a lot of people there pulling the rope with us and making it happen. It's certainly an exciting place to come to work every day because you never know what to expect.
I know ticket sales are great, but there's probably still some left. How do they pick them up?
Best place to go is the website, www.traceway.com, or certainly call us 618-215-8888, and we will pick up the phone and talk to you and tell you what the best tickets available are, or answer any other questions that you may have. We have a great staff, and Frank, you mentioned our staff. We really do have a wonderful group of people that are here to serve. We really feel like that it's just a gift to us to be able to serve our community, and the staff at the track feels that way and shows it every day in the way they operate.
We'll see you this weekend. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all. Take care.
All right, Curtis Francois, owner of the track. So your husband's a little bit of a fan?
A huge fan. Yeah, there was, he is, I would say, somebody who, even more than sitting in the stands and watching races, he's done everything from kart racing to a lot of the track experiences, the driving experiences.
Oh, he has. Wow.
The drag strip, he goes there frequently as well. And so, yeah, he's a huge fan. And I didn't know the story before today. Did you know that they actually had volunteers to help clean up the weeds and originally just to be able to get rolling so they could get started in the very beginning? That's a testament to how much people wanted that track to come back, and boy, has it.
All right, we'll take a short time out. This is the Frank and Jill Show. If you'd like to be a part of the program, Royal Banks of Missouri, text line 84126. And the easiest way to watch us is just go to YouTube, Frank and Jill Show.
Absolutely. Lots of you joining in to watch us today. We love having you, and we'll be right back after this.
Baron Glass and Door, simply the finest.
Oakmont Country Club. And Jill, it's 168 bunkers. There is one sand trap that goes 100 yards.
Mm.
I mean,
There's a 300-yard par 3. Do you know that, Frank?
that's right. Can you imagine that?
They have,
You got to be on the green and two putt.
well, they
get a
were
par.
talking on
Yeah.
the practice round. A couple of golfers hit a driver.
Wow.
So there you go.
There's Bryson DeChambeau. He is, I think, one over as we speak.
He's just got the best name. So whatever you think
Yes.
of golf schmalf, that's just that his parents were thinking hard. You know how people test their kids' names where they're like, scoring the latest touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bryson DeChambeau. But his must have said winning the U.S. Open.
Yeah. And what about you? So you won't be watching, but will your husband, or will he be watching the race?
No, he'd watch the race.
Yeah.
He'd watch racing for sure. But no, not a big. He's a decent enough golfer, but you got a million things on his plate always, and so watching golf isn't it? You didn't grow up though watching golf or
Never.
playing?
I didn't pick up a club for a long, long time.
So that wasn't a family thing for you guys at all?
No. I mean, when we're growing up, people at golf, the rich little kids or nerds. And I think we can give credit to Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he, more than anybody else, made golf cool.
Mm-hmm.
The way he acted, the way he looked, his clothes, Greg Norman was up there too, but Tiger was the one that
Yeah, I was
blew
going
it
to
up.
say that was, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I in a small town, like your Parks and Rec department, you just went and did whatever they were having, tennis lessons, golf lessons, fishing lessons.
Yeah.
Parents sent you off on your bike to go do all those things.
Yeah.
So I had a little exposure to it through that kind of a thing. But
And now, it's 6:45 last night to 7:15. I was hitting balls at 7:30 this morning to 8:15. I was hitting balls.
yeah, and your
I
elbow's
was-
just doing so great. You can't
Yeah.
even move. You have no use of your.
And in between, I'm YouTubing tips on the driver. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that was for you though. That was purely your kids' interest and passion. You exposed them to it because you thought it'd
Yeah.
be fun, and then they ended up being really good at it, and that sort of led to your
Yes.
desire to play
We
as well.
actually may get an early round in on Sunday before I go into work. And I was thinking, I wonder if they would kind of ease up on me and let me win. No, I don't want that.
Does Monique play at all?
No,
No interest at all?
none.
Well, she's a huge fan of her kids playing golf.
Yeah,
You
she's
said there
watched
was nobody.
1,000 matches over the years, but no, she's her time is spent with a pickleball paddle in her hand.
Will she watch on TV at all? Does she have any interest in keeping track of the pro players?
I doubt it. No.
I noticed my future son-in-law, who is a big golfer himself and enjoys watching golf and grew up in Jupiter, Florida, with a lot of the, with
That's where
Jack
when
Nicklaus's
Norman and
grandson was one of his good friends in school.
Tiger. Everybody goes to Jupiter now.
And so he got my daughter a really nice set of golf clubs for Christmas and when they have spare time on the weekends, because I think he really would like to see her enjoy golf as much as him, which I think is a good tactic for a happy marriage in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Now some guys go the other way. The last thing they want to do is play with their wives.
Yeah, we
But
got a very fun
That
text
could
over the weekend.
rationalize his playing a lot if he brings his bride.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we got a fun text over the weekend that she had her first par on a hole. So that was
Wow.
a good moment.
There you go.
All right, we're going to take a short time out. We're going to tell you about a great restaurant in St. Louis when we come back. Lorenzo's Trattoria on the Hill. This is the Frank and Jill Show.
Now there's a new way to take
Talk of St. Louis.
All right, it's one of our favorite segments of the week. We appreciate the great people at Kuna who've been around for over 100 years, helping out so many great restaurants in the St. Louis area. And we have a great one in today, Lorenzo's Trattoria on the Hill. Larry Fuse is here. He's one of the few employees, I think, or few owners of a restaurant probably in the world who walk to work every day. How long from the time you leave your house to the time you get to the restaurant?
Walking 8 minutes, driving a minute and a half.
That's pretty great.
That is awesome.
That's pretty great.
And you and your lovely bride, Maureen, are a team.
Absolutely.
Tell me about what she's meant to the place.
Oh, she's everything. She's in charge of all the books, payroll, everything that has to do with money. So that's the most important thing. And she's always there every day, constantly working.
Take us back to young Larry and what you thought you might do for a living, and when you decided that, and how this whole dream unfolded for you. Because your restaurant is wildly successful, but you started really young.
We did. It was October of '99 when we opened up. I was just cooking in different restaurants around town and went to Forest Park Community College. And, just like everybody else, you have a dream. You don't want to work for somebody. You want to do your own thing. Luckily, my dad owned a building on the hill, which is a fabulous location. And I've lived on the hill my entire life. Me and my wife still live down there. Our kids grew up there. And I went to him and said, hey, let's make this building a restaurant. He was the old Rose's Tavern, which a lot of people know of on the hill. It's very popular with the bocce courts in the back. And luckily he was in construction, redid it all. And knock on wood, it's been going great for 25 plus years.
And you did something entirely different on the hill. You're, I believe, the only Northern Italian restaurant on the hill. And the difference is basically Southern Italian is a little bit more red sauce. You're a little bit more cream, even though you do have a great red sauce too. But that was a little bit of a gamble too. Tell me about that.
My dad's family is from Northern Italy. We're from a little town called Cuggiano, which is just west of Milan, which a lot of the hill people are from. And I wanted to do something a little different, do risottos and gnocchis and things that are more from that area. And it's worked out great. St. Louis has loved it.
What is the real name, by the way? It's not Fuse.
It's Fuse, F-U-S-E.
Well, how do you get it? How is that Italian?
People ask me that all the time, but it is.
You never know across Ellis Island. Sometimes things happen.
Yeah. We were in Italy about 7 years ago. We were in the cemeteries in Cuggiano looking for fuses, and there is a lot.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. And you guys, I mean, you've been such a mainstay. I mean, for people, whether it's special occasions or regulars, you have kind of a mix of both coming in still. I know that was true back in the day.
Have tons of regulars that still come in all the time. You can't live without those people. They mean a lot to the restaurant.
And then you've kind of expanded too. A lot of people will recognize two of the other key businesses on the hill that
Absolutely.
you are owner or part owner of as well.
One of them is Gelato di Riso that my wife and I bought probably 12 years ago. And we do that one together. We have one location on the hill, the main location, and the other one is in Kirkwood, Missouri. And then just recently, a buddy of mine and one of the ladies from Adriana's Deli, we joined the Adriana's team. So it's very exciting.
And you're a good Kuna customer at Adriana's, correct?
Absolutely. Yes,
what have they done for you?
They've done great. I haven't been in there very long, so I don't know many people there, but we've had great service. They're a great company.
All right. I want to talk to you about the celebrities and some of the big names that have come into your restaurant. Absolutely. Because the reason I thought of this great restaurant about 2 months ago was when they had the college basketball luncheon and we're sitting there with Dick Vitale. I said, where'd you go to dinner last night? He said, Lorenzo's. It was unbelievable. And of course, we've done some TV work with you. But how about some of the names, some of the people you've seen go through there the last 26 years?
Oh, my gosh. That's a hard one.
I'm kind of catching you off guard here.
It is off guard. Well, Dick Vitale, of course, was one. One that came in when we were very young, which was great for us, would have been Jack Buck.
Wow.
He was in a lot, and then he started bringing his son in. Pronger's been in when we were small. We had Mario Batali and Lydia Bastianich in a few years ago. I say a few years, probably 12 years ago now.
Wow. The great Frank Cusimano.
Frank Cusimano,
Yes.
absolutely.
Many, many times. I can tell you, I'd never had risotto before until you guys introduced me to it as well. And I mean, you do a lot of the Italian favorites, but you guys were the first ones to bring some of those dishes that weren't sort of the old school classic Italian dishes to St. Louis.
Yeah, I didn't want to do the same thing. There's all of these restaurants. We're still a newbie on the hill at 26 years old, and all of the restaurants, they do fabulous things. But me growing up there, I just want to do something a little different. Throwing the polenta. I remember my grandma making polenta when I was a kid, and we do an appetizer polenta that's phenomenal. And just
Arancini, it
Arancini.
wasn't around. Arancini
Absolutely.
wasn't around
Yeah.
when you guys brought it into St. Louis.
And I can attest that sometimes chefs can be temperamental and their shelf life can be very short, but not with you. You have a great one. You've kept him for a long time.
Yeah, Brad's a great friend of mine and family now. We've been together since day one. We went to culinary school together, and he's been with me since the day we started, October of 1999.
You still have such a positive attitude in a world where a lot of people who've been doing something for 26 years start to burn out. What keeps you excited, energized about it, and keeps you from burning out?
You know, I still love it. I always say if you wake up and you don't like what you do, you shouldn't do it. And I wake up every day and I love what we do. I love the restaurant business. I love the excitement, the energy. It's still fun.
What would be like, let's say the world is ending and you're going to have, I won't give you one, give you 3 last entrees you'd have if the world's going to end.
Wow. Definitely a risotto.
The risotto you brought today?
Yes, that one's been on the menu since day one. I love
Describe
it.
that because it's beautiful.
It's a saffron risotto with roasted chicken, asparagus, a little onion and garlic, but it's very classic, but it's delicious.
Doesn't even seem like it's that fattening, right?
It's not too good for you. But
Okay.
But with
Butter and
asparagus, so
Parmesan
there's
cheese.
vitamins in
It's
there.
vegetables, yeah. All right, but what else? Okay, that's
definitely
one.
like I like anything braised. So we do a veal ossobuco, which is
That's one of your
one
most
of my
famous.
favorite things.
Yeah.
you know, that dish can either be really good or really bad. Besides that, just any pasta. I'm pretty simple. Just a simple. We make an angel hair pasta on the menu. It's just a simple fresh tomato sauce, and it's simple and delicious.
Yeah, you guys do a good job with the desserts as well. If I remember as
Do you
well.
make your tiramisu?
We do not. It's a great story. So when we first opened, we had everybody writing us up, and they wrote us up for our tiramisu, how great it was. And that was probably one of the only desserts that we didn't make at the time. So I said, heck with it. We're never changing it. It's going to be that way forever.
But you got that amaretto bread pudding, right?
So then we never bread pudding, and we make a homemade ricotta cheesecake, which is really,
Oh,
really
wow.
good.
Yeah, and now that you're in the gelato game,
And we always have gelato.
yeah, we
always.
can
Yes.
that as
Now,
well.
let's just say you and Maureen want a night out and you're not going to go to Lorenzo's, just the two of you want to get out. Give me a couple of your favorite places.
Oh man, we go to Guido's on the Hill a lot. We go to Charlie Gito's. We love the staff there. They
Yeah,
do
that's great.
We always sit at the bar.
You guys don't spend a whole lot of money on gas, do you?
We don't. We don't go very far. We love the neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We've been going to Carnivore to get a really good
Yeah.
burger too. It's
They
on
do
the
a
hill.
great job too.
A good friend just texted me, who we both know, said veal risotto on the list of my last meals.
Veal risotto is delicious. It's very good.
You seem like you're low key, and it's a business that can get pretty loud. I'm wondering, are you always this calm in the middle of a Saturday night with 100 people? And
People are always amazed how calm I am. Yes, I just try to stay pretty calm, not let things bother me, and just go with the flow.
yeah, do you get a high like after a great Saturday night? when
Oh,
everybody's-
absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It's exciting. It's thrilling. There's nothing better than having a great night, and at the end of the night, sitting down with a glass of wine and telling everybody how great they did.
Yeah, and so I would imagine that makes you a pretty good boss because there are some, as we see on TV and other places, some
Absolutely.
bosses in the restaurant business that are a little more volatile, shall we say. So has that helped you keep around a lot of the same staff
Yeah,
through the
knock on
years?
wood, lucky we are great. We have a great staff that's been with us for a long time, so it's been really great.
I got to ask you, have you seen the movie I ask all my Italian restaurateur families, Nona's yet?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Isn't it great?
It is great.
You can relate, can't you?
100%. I just watched it probably 3 weeks ago. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a feel good, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a really feel good movie. So you've just kind of slowly and carefully and cautiously, which seems to be part of how you live life, acquired these new businesses on the hill, continue thriving and living there. What's the future look like for you?
Just keep going day by day is what we're doing. Just keep everybody happy and well fed.
And would you prefer your two daughters go into different fields?
I think they're gonna go into a different field. I don't think they don't like the hours and the time put in, but we'll see what happens. They're
Yeah.
still my youngest one's still working. My oldest one, she opened an online clothing boutique and she really loves doing that. But my younger one, we'll see what happens.
And in terms of store hours, what days are you closed? You
We
not
are
any
closed
lunch?
Mondays. We're just dinners only. We're open Tuesday through Sunday. 4:30 we open up and we stop seating around 8:30 during the week and around 9 o'clock on the weekend.
And why Sunday? Because so many good restaurants are closed on Sunday. Why do you stay open?
We have been open for Sundays pretty much since we opened, and they're
Mhm.
just a great family night. Yeah, it's not the normal night. It's more families coming in, very casual, and it's a great night. Great night.
Great. Well, the name of the restaurant is Lorenzo's Trattoria on the Hill. I recommend it. One of our great Italian restaurants in St. Louis. Larry Fuse runs it. Maureen helps to run it. It's just a great place. We recommend it for everybody. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short time out. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Looking for your next great round? Discover the
That was a fun segment, and it smells so good in the
Yes, it tastes good
studio
also.
right now. Did you give it you gave it a little sample?
Yeah, I'm just doing this because of the TV thing. Not that I'm hungry or anything. Just want everybody to see this on TV, on YouTube. So
Yeah, that's really kind of you.
I'm
Thank
about
you.
the people.
Yeah, thanks for taking care of everybody in that way. Meanwhile, now that our boss is going to be able to see that we eat in the studio on Thursdays,
gosh.
he's going to ban us from doing that.
You're right. I never thought about that. I should have done that. No food in here.
No, none. Well, if you walked in, you could definitely smell it. Song of the day today. I just asked Connor to pick his favorite Beach Boys, particularly a song that had been potentially penned by Brian Wilson. Tell us a little bit more about why you chose this one.
It's not my favorite, but I was just looking through the album Pet Sounds, which is their best album, and tried to find one. Everyone plays the same one, so I tried to find one that I liked that is not what everyone played. So that's I know there's an answer. Brian Wilson wrote it, and there you go.
Yeah, very cool. Do you have a favorite Beach Boys song at all, Frank?
No. I mean, I've always liked their work, but they're all the.
That wasn't your sound when you were growing up.
No, it was not.
The California, going to the beach song.
No, I was in the gym.
Reading about Brian Wilson, though, he was always very open about the fact that he wasn't a beach guy, right?
It was actually like they manufactured this image. They were not the surfers they purported to be.
No, he especially him more than anybody
him.
else. He said I was pale skinned. I just didn't. It wasn't my favorite place to hang out. So that's the whole in my room was him, sort of telling the truth about where that's kind of where the dreams unfolded, because he was a thinking guy and he wasn't a go out and be social and cool for other people at the beach like the image of the band.
Net worth at the time of his death, $100 million. Now that sounds like a lot, but currently Paul McCartney is at 1.3 billion.
I think you could do okay.
More popular.
Yeah, you could do it with
Bob
100.
Dylan, 300 million. Mick Jagger, 318 million.
It's interesting you brought up both Paul McCartney and Dylan, because they were quick to provide public statements about the impact that Brian Wilson had on their own music. Elton John did the same thing. It was the list of people who said this was one of the greatest influences on my songwriting or Pet Sound. The album was one that really made a difference in their life. It kind of took me by surprise. They didn't just say, "Oh gosh, we'll miss him. He had a real impact on the industry."
Yeah, I mean, Paul McCartney, I think, says "God Only Knows" is the best song ever, which I don't know. He probably is not counting his own songs, but maybe he honestly believes it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's that. And then his statement said, God only knows we're going to miss him more than probably his influence on music more than anybody else. Quote of the day is from Brian Wilson. I couldn't find him actually saying it in a soundbite, but I did. It's written in multiple places and quoted from one of the books that he wrote. For me, making music has always been a very spiritual thing. Music is God's voice.
Well, that's pretty good. That's nice.
Yeah, he was a poet, and not kind of stepped away from the live reunion kind of concerts that they could have just. The rest of the band did. Mike Love did a ton of that.
Well, and his brothers passed away relatively early, right? And they were in the band.
Mm-hmm.
I think like in the 90s, right? Does that sound right? Any Beach Boys fans out there that know can correct me. But maybe that affected it,
I think he just didn't love
he also
live
just didn't like doing
performing. He liked writing as well. I think that's a very that's a key point. If you like the Beach Boys or you're interested in sort of music history, Disney Plus did a relatively new documentary that just came out.
We really
watched.
Get into it.
Yeah. John's a pretty big Beach Boys fan. His dad was, and kind of grew up. And so after Brian Wilson's passing yesterday, he wanted to watch that last night. And I watched kind of watched it with half interest originally, but I definitely got more interested as it went on.
Is Surfing USA their number one or their most popular, or is it California Girl? What?
I don't know, but Rolling Stone's named the best albums, the 50 best albums of all time, and Pet Sounds was number 2.
Wow.
And I think Beatles was number 1. So it's pretty interesting. So I don't know what their individual and the first songs that they have were just individuals releases. They weren't actually on albums. Is that right?
Right. I think that's the case. Yeah, a lot of their early stuff was all top of the charts, and so yeah, probably not Frank's sound though.
No, but I'm not offended by it. I think it's good stuff. I mean, everybody likes Surfing USA. So.
Yeah, the Beatles, just like the Beatles, the Beach Boys had a period in the 70s where they got into transcendental meditation, and my little tiny town in Iowa was the international capital of transcendental meditation because there was a university there that kind of had embraced that. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi had started this university in the United States.
I feel like if I wanted to, be a transcendental, figure, I wouldn't move to a small town in Iowa.
Exactly.
I'd move to the coast, or I'd go to India, somewhere exotic. Yeah, I wouldn't go to the cornfields in Iowa.
100%.
That's just me.
But there was a little college that was going belly up, and so they had an opportunity to buy the university and come in and try to create this. And so people like the Beach Boys would come to town, and I famously once waited on Mike Love at Ben Franklin Family Center.
So you have that going for you.
Yeah, that's it. Nice. That was my only claim
that's
to fame.
That's the peak of the.
That was my apex mountain of lifetime experiences, next to working with Frank Cusimano every day.
Trying to think who I waited on.
At Kimmels?
Yes. Well, Jack Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever tell that quick story?
No.
Is it he was there with a priest, and the waiter and I were giving them the greatest service of all time because the waiter had known that Jack Buck was the best tipper of all time. So we're working this table. I mean, if that water just got just a little bit below, I'm there, just clean plates like there's no tomorrow.
Scraping crumbs like it's...
Everything. Yeah, we had the crumber working. We had everything going. So we're behind the station, and, we had dropped off the check. The waiter dropped off the check. The waiter was Mike. And we see the priest make a move for the check. And then so we go into the kitchen, and he is cussing, and the waiter's so mad. And my brother Mark, who's running the place, he walks by. He goes, "What are you guys so mad about?" He goes, "Oh, the priest picked up the damn check, and we're going to get cheated out of this great tip and everything." And Mark just shakes his head. So then we are in this entrance area, or this foyer area, where Jack and the priest have to walk by us as they're leaving. And Jack Buck pulls out 2 50s and gives each of us $50. And my brother sees this, and he said, "I hope you guys are happy now." But he was just the best.
Yeah, those are magical times when you get those unexpected big tips, for sure. That's good memories, and of course that doesn't surprise
Did Michael
anybody.
Tip well? Does he?
Well, we were at Ben Franklin Family Center, and they did not have tips there at all.
No tips.
No, it was
Really?
just it was a precursor to Walmart. So
okay.
yeah, it was kind of place where I can't remember what he was buying, and to be honest, I didn't recognize him. But one of the older store employees came running up from the back.
You said Ben Franklin?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember those Ben Franklin stores?
Remember when those drugstores would also have like a little diner in the back?
Yeah, we didn't have a diner, but I could mix your paint. I could cut you a new key and cut your fabric for you.
Very impressive.
I have all that training. Could I do it today?
You could still do it today.
A couple of those things I could still do probably. The mixing paint and the cutting fabric, yes.
You can use the key machine that does it for you.
Did people come back multiple times, sometimes when I made them keys because I wasn't that great at it? Yes, they did. Should you go to Schnarr's Hardware instead and have them make your keys? You should. I've had them do that multiple times for our family, and they're perfect at it every single time.
All right, let's take a short time out. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Premier Heating and Cooling, of course, is a company that cares a lot about taking care of their customers, which is why they have such an excellent record with the Better Business Bureau. But one of the other things that I think stands out about them is that so many of their customers are their best cheerleaders. So a lot of their business most of their business comes from word of mouth, from customers like me saying, if you're tired of having a disappointing experience with a heating and cooling company or not feeling like you can trust them 100%, you got to call our friends at Premier. I know that's how Wendy felt about them. It's certainly how I feel about them as well. And it takes extra effort for a company to put that much care into what they do to make sure that every single customer is the best ambassador for telling other people about their business. It's one of my favorite things about Premier Heating and Cooling. And if you become their customer, it will be one of your favorite things about them as well. Great, incredibly trained service technicians, excellent customer service, people who like working there and you'll enjoy having in your home as well. All part of what they deliver at Premier Heating Cooling. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
And now, KTRA.
.35 on a Thursday morning. Is Thursday still one of your top favorite days of the week?
It is good because I won't be there till 11 o'clock tonight. So feels good.
Yeah. And then are you going to actually take the day off tomorrow from TV like you are supposed to, since it is your day off?
I'll probably do a little stuff. I'll do some work at the track tomorrow. There'll be a lot of action going on.
So the answer is no, you are not taking your day off. I like how now you started answering that question to me when I ask you that. You shift your eyes away and you kind of drop your voice. Is that how you answer Monique when she's like, why are you working on your day off today, honey?
Some guys have to hide women. I have to hide work.
Absolutely. A very good point. But Yeah, it just wouldn't kill you. You took 8 days in a row off, and the world didn't end.
No, you're right. The station was still standing. Yes,
and
absolutely.
how many days into your vacation would you say it took? We talked about this, I think, a little bit. How predicting maybe with Mark Maxwell, even how long it would take you to get your blood pressure down and feel like you were totally just in vacation mode.
Oh, it was pretty quick because that Sunday we were on the course. So yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, we Saturday arrived, and by Sunday morning, yeah, it was quick.
So you were pretty good at making the transition from point A to point B.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I did see Mark Maxwell yesterday, and I said we played that soundbite. I said you have been permanently suspended as a potential substitute host on KTRS.
I had another commitment I could not get out of.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to go see him play his band.
He was leaving the station. It was the first time I've ever seen a news reporter leaving the station with a guitar in his hand.
And I saw he posted just a tiny snippet of somebody else who had posted maybe 30 seconds of them playing on the expat patio over at the Foundry. And he is a really good guitar player, great singer. And just the 30 seconds I heard, he was very good. Really good.
Wow.
You sound surprised.
Well, usually people that don't do it, that get on stage, it just doesn't usually click. I mean, have you ever heard of that newscaster by the name of Brett Baer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was on social media doing a rap song, and everybody was gushing about how good he was. And I imagine doing that is extremely tough with thousands, especially a rap song, but they said he was just outstanding at it, but I don't know.
Well, Mark told us, I think, he'd grown up kind of his whole life in church and playing. And so he learned to play guitar at a relatively young age. And, if you can sing, you can sing. But I was impressed. He was, and they promoted it, the band. And so I mentioned it on the air, and he Connor, he turned bright red. Like he was like, oh, we're not ready for prime time yet. And I said, well, I'm not making this up. This was like publicized.
Well, maybe your band, kind of like the Four Tops and the Temptations, your band and then Mark's could do something at the Fox.
Yeah, at the Fox. Or is there a bigger venue perhaps? Because I think we're really ready to go.
You go to the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater.
We did play the Duck Room, which was very fun. Because
you played at Westwood?
No, we
you played at Westwood.
Oh,
right?
Westwood, yes, for a wedding. Did we pay a pretty penny for the privilege of doing both of those things? Yes.
You
yes,
paid to play at the wedding? Come on.
Well, yeah, we covered because a member of the band was related to the bride, and so we covered the sound system and all that kind of stuff as kind of a
but that's
gift.
not like you're paying like a fee to
no,
play.
It wasn't like you're so bad.
Yeah,
you've got to pay
us.
If you listen to us, we'll give you some money. Just stay there and clap.
Several members of the band are members at the club, though, and they said, hey, they might want us to come back for a happy hour. So we will once again probably be paying a sound crew for the privilege of
Did
doing
they
it.
feed you at Westwood?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there's food. That's worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be paid in food.
I will be paid with cheesy bagels anytime. Yeah. And Andy from Hats and Stuff was there cheering us on. He's actually been to a couple of our gigs. He does. He has giant earplugs in the whole time he's there, but he says it's just because.
You're serious there for a split second.
Well,
somebody asking if Mark Maxwell is better than Tony Chambers, our great photographer who has the band Serapis. I don't know. I know Tony's really good. I have not heard more.
Glenn Zimmerman sang off and on for a couple of bands in the area, including, I think, Dr. Gervais and others. He's a great vocalist. And
Tony?
No, talking about Glenn Zimmerman from Channel 2. I'm not sure if he's singing anymore these days, but yeah, people would love it if they had a gig at a wedding or a fundraiser, and Glenn would be the vocalist for the band. Yeah, life got too busy, I think, for him to do it all the time. But yeah, he was very good.
I bring this up. What concert would you, in fact, we'll go historical too, like you can choose anyone in history that you would pay the most amount of money to see, like in their prime. I would think being like front row for Elvis in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could make the case for the Beatles, but
wouldn't you pick, Frank? Wouldn't you pick like B.B. King? But the early days, not the later years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think since I've seen B.B. King, maybe that kind of gets in the way of.
So it's got to be someone you didn't ever see before.
I would think seeing Elvis front row when he's 25 years old. And that would be-
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to put up with all of the craziness that was happening at Woodstock, but to be able to have seen that Jimi Hendrix performance, or Janis Joplin in the era where the drugs and alcohol hadn't begun their
Would you
downward
rather
spiral.
see them than say the Beatles?
No, I think the Beatles would be a great choice as well. Somebody who I would have really look back with remorse that I never made it happen is Prince. I would have loved to see Prince in concert. Almost everybody else who I've really loved, I think I've gotten to see at least once.
Oh, here's a couple of good ones right now. Sinatra in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin, she would probably be in my top 10.
Do you remember when Sinatra played his last St. Louis?
Oh, was it Enterprise? And it was rough, wasn't it? He got killed.
But I heard a couple of producers and on-air talent. Remember, I was Channel 2 at the time, got into a really heated debate about it because a couple of them were just very defensive and saying, of course, he's aging. It shouldn't sound like he did in his prime. And it was still an honor and a privilege. And I'll never forget being able to say, I saw him live.
Really?
Other people were like, no way. That was just people propping him up, promoters putting him out on the road. And it wasn't the right thing to do. And people paid too much money to get what they got out of it. Any of you guys?
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw on a similar vein, Tony Bennett. It was at the Fox at the end, and that was rough. I mean, it was just not good.
I think B.B. King, last time he played in St. Louis, people said a similar thing where he wasn't. So Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. What do you guys have thoughts on that? You know what? John and I went to see Chris Christopherson about 2 or 3 years ago down at one of the smaller venues in town. And they kind of said ahead of time, he's got some dementia, but he still is able to perform most of the songs that he wants to perform. And he sounded great. He sang Bobby McGee, which he wrote, and some of the other great songs that he wrote for Johnny Cash. His backup band was very good. And I enjoyed it. And we knew going in, kind of eyes wide open, that he wasn't going to sound like he did when he was 35.
Do you know how when you click on something on Facebook and then you'll get like a lot of stuff in that genre?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do Don Rickles on the Tonight Show a lot. And
that just speaks volumes about so many things.
Yes. But anyway, so a lot of Tonight Show great moments pop up. And they did one with Sinatra. And he came out and sang, it was the Barry Manilow song, I Write the Songs. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of masculine men would never, oh God, Barry Manilow. But when Sinatra sings, I Write the Songs with that voice and that talent, it was so spectacular. And then he goes and sits next to Johnny and they talk about it. It was really, it was a beautiful song.
Barry Manilow had a bass voice and he had a really strong voice.
But it just felt so different when Sinatra's doing it. You know what I mean?
He was weirdly, do you remember, Barry Manilow was somewhat of a sex symbol back in his era. Women kind of liked him.
Has he ever come out, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
okay.
Been, I think, either married or in a relationship for a very long time. But yeah. But during that era, I remember, friends' moms being like, "Oh, I really like that Barry Manilow," and I didn't get it. I didn't think he was that handsome, but yeah, I guess it was because his voice.
He looked a little bit like Joe Montana, the quarterback. So he did a concert at Notre Dame. And I know a Notre Dame football player from this area, Rusty Lish. So they were giving Joe Montana a hard time, and they were calling him Joe Montanalo at practice and stuff. Because Barry Manilow wore a Joe Montana jersey at Notre Dame when he did this concert and everything. So Joe got caught a lot of heat about it.
This is good from the 314 on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. We saw Wayne Newton, age 83, a few months back. Spectacular show. Didn't know how good he was on the guitar and violin. That's from Chef Todd. Thank you. Somebody else saying the person they wish they could see in concert is Mozart. By the way, did you see, was it Sean Lennon? Connor, I don't know if you saw that, who said that he considered, that his dad considered Brian Wilson the Mozart of their era.
I did not see that. I guess it doesn't surprise me. Sean Lennon sometimes, I don't know, speaks for his dad a lot. Just gets a lot of notoriety because of that, which makes sense. But I don't know. His own musical career is not lived up to his dad's by any means.
And isn't Wayne Newton regarded as the single most successful Las Vegas act? Like if you go over like 5 decades.
Yeah. Your question was great. Who would you see? Who do you wish you could have seen in prime time, or if you could go back and see anybody from the 314? Neil Diamond, great suggestion.
Oh yeah, that is
Tina
good.
Turner.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine sitting like front row with her?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a great one.
Gosh, that would be.
Yeah,
that's a top 10.
That is definitely an excellent choice. Another excellent choice is before you get overwhelmed and then just let another summer pass by because you haven't made the travel plans, or you spend another cold December in St. Louis going, gosh darn it, I wish I would have planned a trip to someplace warm, comfortable, enjoyable, tropical. The time is now to reach out to our friends at Altair Travel and Cruises. Let them do all of the heavy lifting for you. All you have to do is give them the parameters. This is the amount of money that we have to spend. This is the amount of time we'd like to be able to take off. This is how far we want to travel. This is the mode of transportation we prefer. And they will just work with you at providing not just a good, but the best vacation you could possibly have within your budget and within those other constraints as well. If you're at a loss because you kind of know you want to go someplace, maybe a little warm in the cold season, they're also great at giving you ideas, dream vacation spots that maybe you even haven't even heard of. They can help you imagine either something that you've been dreaming of for a long time or something that you haven't dreamed of yet, but you will enjoy and remember for the rest of your life. Altair Travel and Cruises. Reach out to them today at 314-968-9600 or altairtravel.com.
Mizzou football is here to stay.
Worldwide Technology Raceways gearing up, of course, for the IndyCar race this weekend. Going to be one of the highest profile races in the track's history. And it's a night race, which means millions and millions of viewers across country are going to see St. Louis highlighted.
And you said now your husband is trying to find a way to go.
We have a pretty crazy weekend, and so we weren't sure how things are going to play out. But I think if Curtis Francois mentioned there are still some tickets available, I think John might be looking for some of those to enjoy a little.
Well, it's a night race. He can always leave on Sunday morning and
I
get
didn't
back
ask
here in time.
How late do you think a race like that is going to go? Because I start
Going
7
to
p.m.
last? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. 3 hours? 4 hours?
Yeah, I was going to say everybody's going to have to hopefully not have an early morning the next day. Asked you a few minutes ago either the concert that you wished you would have seen, the artist that you wished you would have gotten to see before they were no longer with us, or that maybe you did see. Great suggestions here from the 314. The Rat Pack, somebody wishes they would have seen them in concert back in the day. Earth, Wind, and Fire in the 70s. And then this is from the 618, great story. I was at Elvis concert in the old arena in 1957. He wore a gold suit. I was in a floor seat. Everyone stood up and screamed, and I was short. Needless to say, I had trouble seeing him, but I got a photo with my Brownie camera. I absolutely love it. Unforgettable. Somebody else saying that we were talking about sometimes what happens when perhaps an artist is past their prime, when they're still doing concerts like this. And this listener from the 314 said the Paul Simon concert was sad and disappointing, and a lot of money paid and wasted. I saw Paul Simon back in 1992. He was great, but that was what was that? What would that have been? 33 years ago. He was still going well.
Always makes it tough there. If they are still charging a lot, and it's not as good of a watch or listen, it's going to make things worse.
Yeah. And what's your factor? Because I have friends that if they pay a lot of money, they want a show. They want dancers. They want the whole visual aspect. They want the sound to be perfect quality. Other people I know say, no, I want the songs I want to hear, and I want them to be, in as pure of a form as I'm used to from an artist.
Yeah, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I just don't go to concerts if they're expensive. I'm like a cheap concert guy. I like smaller venues to begin with.
Yeah,
so like
you and I share that in common.
The expensive ones are like going to Busch or going to the Dome. Like that's where you'll get, a couple $100 or more for a ticket, and that just doesn't interest me. So I'm probably the wrong person, but I probably more about the music. The show is not what draws me in. You
and I are on exactly the same page on that, because I can't justify spending more money for a concert where I'm going to be much further back than I would be at something else, that it's going to take me forever to get in and out, that the artists, the more famous they are, the more likely they are to start really late and not care about our time, and that it's going to take us forever to get out and back to our car. I mean, I find, if I'm going to be honest, getting out of the parking lot at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, and sometimes even an Enterprise,
terrible. Well, that in particular, the amphitheater is like, I mean, I don't want to disrespect anyone that if they designed the parking lots out there, but it's tough. It's really tough getting out.
Do you think their second job was designing the parking lots at either Whole Foods or Trader Joe's?
That Target in the Brentwood Target. That's like it's like those two are just like the worst parking lots ever.
No, but it's taken us I think our record was once, it took us 90 minutes from when we actually got in our car, not walked from when we left the arena I
believe it.
Show to get back out, but 90 minutes when we got in our car to when we were actually on the road outside,
actually driving away.
Not get home, but actually driving away. It's
I believe it 100%.
I know, you just had to be patient. I guess that's why a lot of people now have moved to using the rideshare services to go to those, and that has helped a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine it is, but I just hate spending money on a Uber when I can drive, and I know I'm not gonna drink at the function, so I can drive back. I'd always rather drive.
Yeah, I know. You and I are on the same page in terms of frugality with all that. A couple more before we let you go. 618. You would have liked to have seen Lynyrd Skynyrd before the plane crash.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
And somebody said the possibility of being past his prime is why I haven't seen Rod Stewart for years. He was awesome in the past, and I want to remember that. Yeah, he was. I saw him back at the at Enterprise years ago.
Because he's still performing, right?
Mhm.
He's in his 80s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw him when he was still married to his Australian model, Rachel wife. So that's been at least one wife or paramour before, for sure. Hey, we have a great show coming up for you tomorrow. Howard Richards back from an incredible trip to Australia. Can't wait to hear about that. Some of his insights on this latest things happening around NIL stuff as well. Lynn Venhouse will tell us what to watch for the weekend. We're going to feature a really great golf course in Edwardsville you're going to want to hear more about. So it's going to be a great show tomorrow. Make sure you join us either on YouTube live or here right back on the radio where you've been. Stick around for the John Carney Show right after this. Make it a great 22 hours, everybody.